Hello everyone, Ash here, and tonight I wanted to do my top 5 best films of 2013 and my top 5 worst films of 2013, and yes, I know it's already 2014 and we're 10 days into it, but I really wanted to do this, and if you're wondering where I've been, well, I'm going to do an update tomorrow explaining everything, but tonight I really want to do this list and get this out of the way, and tomorrow I will explain everything as I said. But for my top 5 films, I'm going to say this right now. 3 of these films are my personal favorite. I loved 3 of these movies that were on my top 5 list. And on my worst list, one of these films is one of my most hated movies. But let's begin, shall we? Starting with my top 5 favorite films of 2013. Number 5, Frozen. I was surprised how much I really enjoyed Frozen. I mean, my God, this was an absolutely great movie to watch from beginning to end. I like the relationship between the sisters. I thought that was really well done. And I do like the fact Disney does poke fun at itself with a lot of some of the stereotypes they use, especially when the princess and the prince meet the first time. It's like, oh, we're going to get married. And the sister's like, no, you two just met. I love that. It's Disney poking fun at itself. I also like the ending. I don't want to give the ending away, but I really liked what they did with that ending. It was so clever and so unique. Oh wow, Disney did a really good job with this film. I really enjoyed Frozen a lot. However, I didn't really like the villain in this film. I did feel like he was just kind of thrown in at the last minute. It wasn't even necessary, but anyways, I really enjoyed this film. Frozen is number 5 on my list for my favorite films of 2013. Number 4, Catching Fire. I gotta say this. The Hunger Games, the first film, that movie's grown on me. Every time I watch it, it gets better and better. There are still problems with it, but I still enjoy it. However, Catching Fire improves on all the problems with the first Hunger Games film. Catching Fire improves on all those problems. They do a great job with the character development this time. You really get a sense how evil the government is, and I love the way they show the government. I also love the way they show Katniss and how she was psychologically trying to deal with what went down the first film. My God, they did a great job with those things. And I love the fact it's leading up to something huge in the next 2 films. I'm looking forward to seeing the next Hunger Game movies. God damn, this was a great movie. I loved Catching Fire. It's hard to believe there's still 3 more films that are better with it. But number 4, Catching Fire. Number 3, The Conjuring. There was a time when horror movies were dead. Here in the US, horror movies were terrible. They were god awful. Thanks to Saw and Hostel. I'll get to those later, but then something happened. Then the little movie named Paranormal Activity came out. And thanks to Paranormal Activity, we finally got horror movies headed back into the right direction. And because of that, we got the masterpiece, The Conjuring. One of my favorite horror movies of all time. I absolutely loved this movie. I loved the scares. They were not cheap scares. They were well done. They were well thought of. Loved all these scares. They were so nice. I loved the story. Loved the actors they brought in. They brought in some really good actors. This was a great movie. I absolutely loved it. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Oh man, The Conjuring was a great movie. Great horror film. High recommendation to anyone checking it out. Number 3, The Conjuring. Number 2, Pacific Rim. I love this movie because this is what every single summer blockbuster action movie should be. They should be like this. Great pacing, great editing, a great story. Also the fact that you've got Jackson Clay in this film. I also like the fact that the characters are so over the top. That's part of this movie's charm, is just how over the top all the characters are. I absolutely love the characters in this movie. Oh man, they're great. They are great characters from beginning to end. Love them all. Oh, and the fact that this reminds me of Gurren Lagann. And I'm going to say, this is not Neon Genesis Evangelion. This is Gurren Lagann. It reminds me more of Gurren Lagann than Neon Genesis. Love this movie. Oh, god damn, this is Pacific Rim is just a great movie to watch. A lot of fun. It's what every single summer blockbuster should be like. I absolutely loved it. Number 2, Pacific Rim. Number 1, The Hobbit the Desolation of Smog. Peter Jackson, how'd you do it? Please explain to me how you made this movie just as good as the Lord of the Rings films. Please explain. Because this movie is a masterpiece. It's one of the greatest films I've ever seen. I loved it. I loved the barrel scene. The barrel scene was incredible. I love Smog. When you see Smog, my God, that's an amazing villain you've got right there. And he's gonna get better. In the third film, you know he's gonna be fucking kicking some ass. But oh my God, I also liked what they did with Bilbo. Bilbo is really smart in this film. He's really clever. Oh, I loved Bilbo in this film. I just love this movie. This is right up there with the other Lord of the Rings films. I'm not kidding you. This is just as good as those films. I absolutely loved it. But my favorite part, the rebirth of Sauron. When he is reborn, it is incredible to see. Oh, it's just so great to see him just reborn. Especially when Gandalf the Grey is trying to fight him. He fails, and this Sauron isn't even at half strength, and he beats Gandalf like it's nothing. Oh man, it's incredible. I also love the fact you see his eye, you see his body returning, and oh man, it's a great movie. Love this film. Loved everything about it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug, one of the greatest films I've ever seen, right up there with Lord of the Rings, all three films. And the funny thing was, I even said before I saw this movie, I said, it's going to take a lot to take down Pacific Rim as number one, but The Hobbit did it. And I don't know how, but Peter Jackson pulled it off. I loved this movie. So number one favorite movie of all time, of 2013, The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Now it's time for the worst films of 2013. Here we go. Number 5, Carrie remake. Now, while this isn't a terrible film, it's still got a lot of problems. First and foremost, a lot of the acting. I mean, the main female actress in this movie, she does a good job, but everyone else just doesn't really cut it. Especially the guy who takes her to prom. I swear to God, he went to the Shia LaBeouf School of Acting because his acting is very similar to Shia LaBeouf's. Oh God, it's bad. I mean, the acting is really bad. Carrie's mom in this film, I forget the actress's name, but she's just ridiculously too stupid. I mean, honestly, I'm surprised she didn't kill her daughter sooner. Just from bad parenting in general. She's too over the top for her own good. Honestly, just way too over the top. And the supposed bullying in this film, you don't really see it. You only see the tampon scene where they're throwing tampons at her, and the scene with the pig's blood going on her dress. But that's it. Those are the only scenes in this film that you see. Besides from that, it's not a very good film in general. The only thing I did like was the ending, because the ending was actually pretty good. But besides from that, the movie's just not very good. I mean, it's a pretty bad remake. So number 5, Carrie. Number 4, The Host. I have to be honest right now, I didn't hate this movie as much as I thought I was going to. Oh yeah, it's a bad film, and there's a lot of problems with it. There was a few things I did like I did kind of like the scene where she's in the caves with the other people. You know, that was actually decent, and the love triangle wasn't nearly as shoved down our fucking throats as I thought it was going to be. Because they could have done a lot more with that fucking love triangle, and they didn't, thank God. But besides from those scenes, everything else here is absolutely bullshit. First and foremost, I hate the fucking aliens in this movie. You thought pacifist vampires were bad? Pacifist aliens who don't make any sense. The way they go into the human body doesn't really make a lot of sense, because how did you invade the human race then? It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And the aliens are fucking pathetic. I'm not scared of these little shits. I mean, my God, they are easy to take out. You gotta touch them and they go down. They're morons. You can literally jack one of their fucking cars and they'll accept it. You can literally say, "Oh, I need your car." They're like, "Oh, okay, here it is. It runs pretty good." I'm not kidding. They're fucking idiots. Oh God, I hate the aliens in this movie. And then we get the whole bullshit that you can hear our main character's fucking thoughts. You can hear the war between the alien and the girl. They're trying to see who has the pets' power struggle, and it's really badly done. The fact you can hear the thoughts, the other two characters competing in the head is so stupid. I hated that. Oh god, the host. Man. Not as bad as it could have been, but still pretty bad. Did not like this movie. Number 3, Mortal Instruments. Not much I can really say about this film. It's bland, it's boring, the acting is crap, the story at times goes nowhere, the CGI looks like shit, and generally it's just a dumb, dumb movie. Don't see it, don't watch it, it's a bad film. There's not much I can really say about it other than it's a boring, stupid film that makes no sense half the time. So number 3 of my worst films of 2013, Mortal Instruments. Number 2, Fast and Furious 6. Yes, I am well aware Paul Walker died, and I'm very sad he died. But I'm not going to give this film a pass because Paul Walker died. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. This movie sucks. Everyone in this fucking film is freaking invincible. They can't be injured anyway. Cars flip. No one gets hurt. Fuck's sake, people get run over by a fucking car and aren't even scratched. It's a stupid movie. The story is pathetically weak. There's plot holes all over the place. I hated this movie. Absolutely hated it. Even though Paul Walker died, it's sad, yes. I'm not going to give this movie a fucking pass because of that. It's a crappy film, and I'm going to stick by that. And having Jason Statham at the end, I cannot believe they're making a 7th film of this shit. But whatever. Fast and Furious 6 is number 2 worst film of 2013. Number 1 worst film of 2013 is G.I. Joe Retaliation. I have to ask this. How the fuck do you screw up G.I. Joe this bad? I mean, this movie should be easy to make. It should be simple. It should be a simple film to make. But obviously it isn't simple because they can't seem to get the formula right at all. I hated the first G.I. Joe film, and this one's even worse. First, this movie takes itself too damn seriously. It's way too serious of a film. Secondly, Duke dies way too early. It makes no sense why he's even in the damn film in the first place. It's also insulting to the intelligence level of the audience you're viewing this because, oh god, there's a lot that pissed me off with that whole nuclear bullcrap. I hated. Didn't like the characters. It was boring. There were stupid side stories that were fucking pointless and weren't even need to be there. Bruce Willis obviously didn't want to be in this film. The action is terrible. I hated this fucking film. It's one of the worst films of all time. I despise this movie. It's a piece of shit. And honestly, I hope they don't make any more G.I. Joe films. This movie was trash. Okay? So, the number 1 worst film of 2013 is G.I. Joe Retaliation. And this is Ash saying so long and good night.